There are so many podcasts coming out, springing out in Africa now. Also in Nigeria, it's very, very much now. It's very enormous and it's very, very good in some aspects. Podcast provides you with that opportunity to have a experience of people, to hear from people who have so much experience in their fields, in a particular field of their lives. You hear their life challenges, you listen to what they say and how they were able to overcome those challenges and become a successful people that we see them as. When you listen to and watch such a podcast, it gives you so much courage, it gives you so much knowledge, it gives you so much know-how in overcoming challenges in life. But actually, some podcasts are overboard, I must say the truth. Some podcasts are not good for our society. We are Africans, for crying out loud. There are some things that ought not to be said, but in some podcasts you see it being said, being laid at bay. It's not helping our society. We don't have to depend solely on government, solely on authorities to shape this society that we find ourselves. No. The truth is, government makes up of a very little percentage of the society. We, the society, are the people that changing our way of life depends on our own hands, not the government, not the authorities. You watch some podcasts, you feel very sorry. You feel so sad inside you. I also understand that this is about gaining traffic, this is about making money, this is about projecting your podcast to the world, but also consideration should be taken in doing so. Like I said, we are Africans. You bring someone to interview that person, and the person is talking about what we know, that is not what we are in Africa, that not who we are in Africa. When you bring up somebody and a lady comes up and talk about what parts of our body that in African way, in our way of life, this part of the bodies are being discussed in a specified environment, in a closed space, not in an open space. But when you see a lady come up and begin to say that this part, this and that part of her body, before even a man can say hello to her, the person has to pay a certain amount of money to her. This is un-African. This is not who we are. No African tradition, no way of African life encourages first meeting of man and woman to be money dependent. No, that's not who we are. I want to let us know, you even as a host, how will you feel in the next 20, 30 years when you watch that very interview that you did? Do you think you will feel good? The answer is no. Because that time, you will know that that very clip, that very video, that very podcast is already in the hands of your children and grandchildren. They are learning what that person that you brought up is saying. And that's how they're going to live their life. If you made a broadcast where a lady is saying that a man, before a man can even have a first date with her, the man has to pay a certain amount of money, millions of money, to her before even the first date goes out. And imagine, when you air that out, whether you like it or not, an adolescent child somewhere in a remote area is listening, watching that. It's not going to take it off from his or her own smartphone. What are you doing? You are telling that child that this is the way of life, because you that are hosting this very person and the person that you have there is only projecting what is not us. Because we know this area with this, we are, everybody is saying that I know Kia, this I don't send that to the, but whether we like it or not, it will come back one day to hurt us, because we will also get old. What we are seeing now and what we are, the society that we are enjoying now, is actually a result of what our forefathers, our ancestors did and how they managed the society they have that time that gave birth to us. There's no time that they didn't have this challenge that we are having. They were having it at their own pace that time. The same way we are having it at the pace that we are living now. What did they do? They only managed it and until they gave it to us now. So our work is also to manage it and pass it to the generation, not to let it deteriorate. That's not the truth. We don't have to depend on the clergies, the imams, the pastors to talk about it. No. We should tell ourselves the truth. Everybody is saying that he wants the good of Africa, we want the good of Africa. But in your own domain, in what you're doing, are you doing that good thing of Africa? That's the questions we should ask ourselves. If you are a podcast and you are running a show that is actually against African norms, it is an ill in the African society, and you run it all in the name of I don't say, all in the name of I want to gain traffic. And you know that running it will give you so much traffic. It will sell, it will go all over the world. You will have so many viewers, have so many whatever you want to have, and make money out of it. But you also should know that anybody who is taking a gun and shooting and making money does that because he or she also wants to make money. But you have no moral right to condemn that person because the way of taking a gun and shooting and killing is not an African way of life. It's the same thing of what you are doing using this means that is un-African, all in the name of making money. You can't be bringing people who are just there to promote what is not us. What stops us from projecting and promoting what is us? You can say, you can do, you can achieve. We have great people here in all aspects of life. We have great people in Africans who are achievers. You can bring them from anywhere and interview them. You still make that money. You will still even get more viewers. And your podcast will be known as a podcast who projects and a podcast which Africans is well known for. Not you bring somebody who is emulating what is not us. He or she is emulating what is happening in America and the western part of the world. But whether you like it or not, we are not there. Let's use Nigeria as an example. In the western world, they have snows. We don't have snows here. So the way they dress there is determined by the environment that they find themselves. The way we dress in Africa is determined by the environment that we find ourselves. If you want to take what is happening there to put it here, there's no problem with that. After all, that's what our forefathers did. And that's what they also do. The Westerners. Because we must cohabit with each other in this world. What do they do and what do you have to do? When they take from us the things that we are doing, they go and imbibe it in their own culture. They don't throw away their own culture totally because they want to take from us. No. Let me give an example. In the current world now, we see how African music, our Afrobeat is doing all over the world. What are the Western world musicians doing? They take this Afrobeat, go to their place, mix it with their own rhythm, and come out with what is acceptable by their own. They don't throw out their own rhythm entirely. No. That's what we should also be doing. We should take good things that come from there, then imbibe it in our own culture and come up with something that is modern. That is why we have constant change in the world. You don't just come out from there or learn from there, watch it how they live there, and you say in the name of that nobody should care, this is your body, and you want to be naked walking on the street. That's not true. This is your body. Before anybody can touch it, the person has to pay. That's not true. Because we need each other. At some point in time, you can't live this life alone. Yes, it's your body, but that body, you cannot live it alone. You need somebody to make that. The cream that you're applying is made by somebody. If you don't need anybody, if the company that produces that cream says that they are not going to produce it because it is, after all, it's their cream, then how are you going to get that cream? The analysis you're using is being done by somebody. But we need each other. So in needing that each other, you have to also project what we should also accept. So the same way that I would like to project what you will accept. But projecting what is not African, it doesn't look good. it doesn't even augur well for us. It doesn't even do good for us. Because when we say we go this lane, what will be the outcome? The outcome is going to be dangerous. The outcome is not what we want to be. The outcome is who we are not. And the worst that can happen to a society is being who the society is not is. And that's the worst part of the life. So I think and I believe some of us who are doing this podcast should sit down, talk about and design what they want to do. Yes, even as a host, when you bring in somebody, you are the one that is in charge of that very program. You are the one that is in charge of that very podcast. So you can, by yourself, control what the person have to come out, because this is a public domain. And once you start to do that and people are watching, people will like you more. People will like your podcast more. The one that you are projecting here, where the person have to say all things bad and talk about things that are not African and things that are not meant to be said in the public domain, then it will only sell. It is a momentary thing. It is only for the moment. At the long run, it will catch up with me and you. It will catch up with the society. And that's not the society we want for Africa.